Hi everyone, I hope you all are doing good. In my today's session, I'm going to explain the configuration of Azure App Services. An app service can be a web application service or it can be a API service, but configuration applies same to both of these categories basically. So let's start with that. So I have created one web application service. So this app service is going to host an Angular based application in it. Okay. So what configuration I need to take care of that I'm going to explain over here. The first part being how to navigate to the configuration section. Very simple. Go to the locate your web application by going to our Microsoft Azure portal's search bar. Okay, if you know the name, you can type the name, or if you just type app services, also it will list down all the app services created in your subscription basically. So you can pick the app service with which you want to do some configuration changes basically in order to host your applications. After selecting the web application, you will end up with a screen like this. Yeah, so here what you have to do is you need to navigate to the settings navigation pane, basically a left navigation pane. Under that, go to the settings section and click on configuration, and the screen would look something like this. Okay, so there are basically four categories: the application settings, general settings, default documents, and path mappings. So let me start with application settings. Application settings are same as our app.config file in a typical ASP.NET Core or ASP.NET web application. Okay, or in .NET Word, you can say a configuration file which is mostly used for most of the purposes. Okay, so how you will specify the app settings? We used to use the web.config or app.config file, and inside that we used to use a tag called app settings, and there we used to mention the key value pairs. But here, same thing you can achieve by going to the application settings, click on new application setting and give a key. A wizard will open from the right side. Okay, a pop-up will appear. There you need to mention the key name, that is the setting name, and its value. So by default, whenever you navigate to app settings pane, it will show your value in a hidden format. Okay, you can't see it directly. And source, you can see the app service config. Okay, and this particular section reads if you have any web.config or app.config file configured with your source code, then it will automatically read that and render over here also. So it will automatically sync basically. So simple settings like any kind of application related settings which turns an functionality on or off. So such kind of simple settings you can put over here. Okay. So pretty simple, a key value pair basically. So you can see some app insights instrumentation key. I am making use of application insights for my web app in order to log my application related activities. Okay, so logging I have targeted with my application insights instead of simple log files on my server. So there I have configured the application instrumentation key, which is a GUID. So I have created with this name and I have given that app instrumentation key is value over here. Okay, and also the ASP.NET Core environment, which basically denotes what environment is this, is also can be mentioned in application setting. Okay, so that is a simple example. Okay, so now move on to the general settings. Click on the general settings tab and it should open the general settings something like this. So this settings gains more importance and more value because if something goes wrong with this particular settings, then you will be provided with a bad gateway error when you try to launch this application. Okay, so very cryptic error basically. You don't understand what went wrong. In order to understand that, you have to go through your application insights or your application logs and identify what happened. Okay, so go to the general settings, and usually this setting will be done once when you are first time deploying your application on your app service. Okay, So what are the settings available? Basically stack settings. What kind of stack I'm using? Here .NET is selected, but there are multiple options available for that. Okay, I will soon show that panel how it looks. Let me go down. So if I go down, as you can see, stack settings, what are the available options? .NET, Python, PHP, and Java. Okay, so you should be very careful, and this is the first thing you have to configure when you are about to deploy your application for the first time. Okay, so it is possible that by default .NET is selected, and if you are deploying a Java application, then you will end up with errors in the CI/CD itself while deploying that package. Or even if the deployment goes successful, you will start getting the bad gateway errors, a very cryptic error you won't understand. So first step, if it's a .NET application, select .NET. If it's Java, Java, and if it's other, select other options. Okay, so that is the significance of stack settings, basically the technology stack that I'm going to select. Okay, and under that stack you are going to select the version. It depends on the selected stack that I'm going to show you soon. Platform level settings. So what kind of platform is this? Is this a 32-bit application or 64-bit application? No, the platform is 64-bit application, so I'm going to select 64-bit in my case. So managed pipeline version, I have kept it as it is. It's integrated. FTP state, I'm disabled because I'm not doing any kind of FTP based operations here. But if you are handling any kind of FTP operations, then this should be enabled. Okay, it says that FTP based deployment can be disabled or configured to accept FTP plain text connections. Okay, HTTP version, again there are three options will be provided, seems 1.1, 1.2, and 1.0, but we have gone with 1.1 selected over here. WebSockets, most important setting. If you are creating a signal R based API, okay, if you are creating a signal R based API, in that case you must enable WebSockets on, because signal R communication happens on WebSocket protocol, not on HTTPS. Again, apart from a signal R based API, if your web application or API is also communicating with any kind of WebSocket based APIs, okay, in such scenario also, for those web applications also, you need to enable WebSockets on. Otherwise the WebSocket based communication won't happen, and you will be puzzled out what's going in the background. Okay, so if your application making use of WebSockets protocol like signal or a kind of technology, then enable this. Well, that is set. Let's move on. So with respect to .NET, I shown you what are the available technology stack options for us. Yeah, in case of Java development, yeah, I would like to highlight this. When you select Java, you need to select a Java version. Okay, so make sure you support a version which is a LTS, so long-term support basically. So the team will provide a long-term support for it. So Java 8 is a kind of long-term support basically. So you can select whatever is appropriate for you. And let's move on further. See, when it comes to Java minor version, take a little caution and be careful. You should select a minor version which is compatible with your code basically. Okay, you are going to build. Okay, so you are basically developing a code against some other version and deploying it against some other JDK framework or yeah, JRE, then again you will end up with getting errors. So to avoid that, always ensure whatever code you are developing in Java, okay, ensure that you use the same version in the code project file as well as in this setting, the Java minor version. Okay, okay, that's it. Then comes the option of selecting Java web server. Java, you see, embedded web server. Okay, and then Apache Tomcat. Apache will be the web server, and Tomcat is the processing engine. Again, you need to decide against the version, the Java version and the Java minor version you have selected. You should select a Tomcat server which is compatible with this. Otherwise, you will end up with errors. Okay, so take care of that. So in my case, I have developed my web application in .NET 6, which is a long-term support. So I have selected my stack as .NET and my .NET version is .NET 6 LTS. Okay, so that's it. There are some other options like one such option is always on. And if you see the help text prevents your app from being idled out due to inactivity. So if you keep this off, okay, if you keep this off by default, then what happens, if there are no activities, then your app service will be idled. If you don't want such kind of behavior, simply make it always on so that your app service will never be idled. And ARR affinity, I have kept it on. Improve performance of your stateless app by turning affinity cookie off. Okay, stateful apps should keep this setting on for compatibility. Okay, so self-explanatory. HTTPS only, yes, I want my application to work only with the HTTPS protocol. Okay, secure socket, so I have kept it on. And minimum TLS version I have selected at 1.2 only, which is the current version basically. Okay, and I don't want to remote debug my application because this is my higher environment, this is not my dev environment basically. So in a higher environment, keep it off, but in lower environment like development and all, you can make it on and you can will get the feature of remote debugging. A pretty cool feature. You can do R&D on it on the internet. Okay, you will get good documentations. Most important thing being path mappings. Okay, in case of ASP.NET Word, it may be ASP.NET Classic or ASP.NET Core. There's a concept of virtual directories when we host our application on our web server. Okay, so IIS, the Internet Information Services Server, basically handles your web location in terms of virtual paths. So here a forward slash means it's a root, but it will map to a physical path like site slash www root. See the slashes here, forward slash and the backward slash. Okay. So I wanted my spa application to be deployed on at the root level. That's why I have given just a slash, and physical path I have given a site slash www root and type as application. Okay, you can make the type as application and a resource also. There's one more option, it's up to us. So if you have a plan, you have a plan where you want to deploy more than one web application into a single app service, in such scenarios what you have to do is basically you have to create virtual directories. Okay, so slash being your root application, but if you want your child application to be hosted on the same app service, okay, it may be a API service basically associated with your actual single page uh, application basically. In such scenarios you create some children below your virtual root virtual path like slash order processing, or can you can say slash the background API application like that. If you mention and if you provide a physical path inside www roots like site slash www root slash, and you give the actual physical folder name here. Okay, so with this mapping you can deploy multiple web applications or API applications under one app service. So when you do such kind of configuration, ensure you create appropriate virtual paths for such applications. So that's it from an Azure App Service configuration side. Very important factor or settings panel. If something goes wrong, straight away you will get errors, and that too very cryptic in nature, like bad gateway or yeah, this kind of things. So ensure before deploying your application for the first time, you configure all these settings and then deploy so that you will get less errors. Okay. I hope you understood the concept and it will help you in your day by day development. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.